Welcome to Fantasy Football Court. We are four regular guys talking all things fantasy football. Unlike some other shows, we only talk about fantasy football. We make our arguments, we present our cases, and you are the judge. We are all in the same fantasy football league. The people are real, the league is real, and the trash talking is real. Court is now in session. Welcome again to Fantasy Football Court. We're so glad you joined us for this episode. My name is Charles.
My name is Andrew.
My name is Nick.
And I'm Jeremy.
Today we're going to put the New York Giants on the stand. We're going to question them and examine every possible fantasy football position. Before we get started, I'd like to say that we are going to cover the individual positions, the running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers. We are going to rank them. We're getting a lot of questions and comments about wanting to know when we're going to do that. We've got a lot of time before you draft. We're just trying to get you as much information as possible. We're going to cover all 32 NFL teams. Jeremy, what are your initial thoughts on the New York Giants?
I'm just not real high on the Giants. I think that Eli Manning has I've never been a big fan of Eli Manning, and the running game is suspect.
It depends how consistent Eli Manning can get. Can he catch fire like he did, his 2 Super Bowl runs?
Hey, I don't really have much to say about the Giants. I'm not that excited about them. I'm not that thrilled about anybody on their team. I agree with what they're saying about the quarterback position. I'm just not much there for me.
I'm really curious to see what Brandon Marshall adds to that team. That's my initial thoughts on him.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see he comes in there. Victor Cruz is kind of beat down.
Odell Beckham.
Victor Cruz is gone, but that's what I'm saying. But then by adding Brandon Marshall, I'm just curious
With
to see.
Odell,
I'm curious to see how that affects Eli Manning.
All right. The most important position of any team is the quarterback. He handles the ball the most. He decides who gets it, what reads, the correct throws. I'm going to start with Jeremy. What are your thoughts on the quarterback position?
Eli Manning, one word, inconsistent, in my opinion. But as soon as I say that, I look at his stats, and the last 3 years, the last 3 seasons, he's averaged right at 4,300 yards passing and 30 TDs a year. So I think maybe there's a separation between the numbers and what we see when we watch him play.
Well, it's interceptions.
Oh, interception
He's
always
been very
goes.
consistent in interceptions every year.
16 interceptions last year.
Last 2 years.
Last 2 years.
Yeah, he's been averaging about 15 interceptions a year. So.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he ever progresses on cutting down on that.
But this year he'll have more talent at wide receiver and tight end than he's had in a long time.
Right.
You ever notice that when you watch him on TV and he makes a bad throw, you know how some people are like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. He just seems to.
He may be used to it by now.
He just
Yeah,
seems
he's probably done it so many
float
times.
over to
It's
the
just like
bench
a-
and
Look,
second nature.
you know though he's had
that bothers me.
You know though that he's had to get used to that because he lived in a home throwing the football with or competitions against Archie and Peyton
2
Manning.
Hall of Famers.
Right. So he has to get used to throwing the ball and it not looking as pretty as somebody else.
Did you ever see Phillip Rivers when he makes a bad throw? Oh man, goodness, man, great dinner.
But don't you want a little more emotional consistency out of your quarterback?
I want somebody who acts like that. I want somebody who acts like it cares, like it bothers them.
Kind of
Like
like a Ben
emotion, a little bit of passion.
Roethlisberger
You want
that
him
has
to-
passion but kind of gets over it real quick.
As
Well, you
fans,
gotta get over it. But
most fans, they say you want them, like if you're rooting for the team, you want them to act, or you have that player, you want them to act like they care about it. But
Yeah.
to tell you the truth, in all lightness, you want them to forget about it. You want them to keep playing like that never happened.
yeah, it don't affect Eli. He'll throw a pick six, and there's no emotion, there's no reaction. He just walks over to the bench, and they receive the kickoff, and he goes back out there.
To borrow a line from probably the greatest football movie of all time in The Replacements, they talk about getting stuck in quicksand. Whereas you make a mistake, and instead of just moving, you keep fighting, and mistake compounds on mistake. Eli doesn't do that so much. He makes a mistake, and it's like he doesn't even remember he made it the next play.
Yeah, that's why
He don't
really
remember he
want
made
your
it
quarterback
a second
to
ago. He doesn't seem to have an emotional reaction to anything he does. Now, he'll get excited when he throws a touchdown. I've seen him get excited, but when he makes a bad play, it's like, oh, well, I made a bad play.
Eli Manning, the upside for him this year is who they surrounded him with. One of the first round draft pick was a
Evan
tight end.
Ingram.
Yeah, and so they brought him in. They've got some others at wide receiver, and they put some players in there for him to have the potential to have a decent year. I mean, he's been pretty consistent over the last several years as far as his numbers. I mean, each and every week. So.
How happy are you? I'll say this on a lot of the videos. Going into week 1, if Eli Manning is your starting fantasy football quarterback, how are you? Are you okay or you're not, Jeremy?
There is not a situation at all where I see Eli being my starter no matter how the draft plays out.
I don't even want him as my number 2.
I might take him number 2. But
I'd let him be my number 2.
I might have him on my team and play him. It depends on matchups.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next position, that being running backs. I want to go to Nick on this. What are your thoughts on the running backs?
I kind of like Paul Perkins this year. It just seems like he's going to be the man. We'll see how much he contributes. They used him sparingly last year, but not a lot to get a good indication of how good of a running back he is. Shane Vereen and Rashad Jennings, they got rid of one of them. I can't remember which one. I think it was Vereen. Anyway,
He's still got Vereen there. It's Vereen and Wayne Gallman.
Wayne Gallman. I'm interested to see if Wayne Gallman factors in that at all. It just seems like Paul Perkins is the guy. He's somebody you might look at late. It just seems like he's the only, probably one of the lowest drafted starters, it seems like, as far as running backs go. And I think they really need to have a good running back to take some of that pressure off Eli Manning.
Jeremy?
Perkins could be a 3-down player. He has the ability to catch the ball. He's got a wiggle in his step. He's got good speed, can run in between the tackles. So he could be a 3-down player, but they still have Shane Vereen, which they've got a lot of money sunk in, and Wayne Gallman, which is a rookie they drafted out of Clemson, that both can factor into this. The only thing that is appealing to me about Perkins is the fact that you may be able to get him at kind of a bargain pick for a number one running back. So that's the appealing thing. It's not that I think he'll have a great year or huge numbers.
Where you can
I
get
just
him.
think you can get him in a situation where he can be the number 3 or 4 running back on your team, and if he takes off, great. If he doesn't, then it's no big deal. It don't hurt you because you're not relying on him.
Thoughts?
I'm not real big on their backfield. I don't have a lot of thoughts on it.
Currently, Paul Perkins is being taken around the 7th round, into the 6th, beginning of the 7th. That's a good value. That's a
Yeah,
good
because
value
it's
for
good
me.
value for
If I
him.
get him there, I'm happy.
At the
Number one
by
back.
the 7th, I've got both of my backs already picked, so he's my 3rd back.
Yeah, maybe even your 4th back. depending
I
on
think
how you
he's
draft.
one of those guys that are going to shoot up the board some more too. Obviously, he won't go into the top 2 rounds, but I see him moving up the board as the closer to draft day. All right, let's go to the next position, that being wide receivers. Jeremy, you got any thoughts on the Giants wide receivers?
You know, they've helped him out this year. He's got Brandon Marshall, Odell Beckham Jr., and then he also Sterling Shepard is in the mix. But I think that 1-2 punch of Brandon Marshall, Odell Beckham Jr. Is a pretty good punch. Now, I don't have Odell Beckham Jr. as high as a lot of people do. I've seen him as high as the number 2
I've seen
wide
3.
receiver
Wow.
in some places, and I don't buy that. I think that he's probably in that 4 or 5 range
Right.
at wide receiver, but he's also got to scare you a little bit because of the interceptions that Eli Manning throws.
I agree. Thoughts?
I'm not as high as on any of the Giants receivers as most people. I think I have Odell Beckham Jr. as my 5th receiver. I have Mike Evans and AJ Green ahead of him. I don't know. I'm just not big on any of the Giants receiving players just because going back to I don't really care for Eli Manning and his inconsistency and his prone to interceptions.
Thoughts?
Eli Manning throws a lot of passes to his receivers. I mean, so points per reception league, something to look at. But there's so much inconsistency there. I'm not real comfortable with it. And I think Odell Beckham's going way too high in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is being way overdrafted, and he will be in your league. If you don't take him high, somebody else will.
I don't know that I take Odell Beckham Jr. in the 1st round.
He's going in the 1st round.
Yeah.
Personally, though, I've got 6 running backs and 3 to 4 wide receivers ahead of him.
Right.
So maybe into the 1st round.
maybe.
Yeah,
If I'm
that's where I would feel comfortable drafting. Is probably 11 or 12.
if I'm 11 or 12 and he falls to me, I can't get excited. I can't get excited. I mean, you almost have to take him.
I'm probably not excited about it, but I'd probably take him.
Yeah. All right. Any other receivers? We talked about Odell Beckham. You said Brandon Marshall got picked up and put over there.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Brandon Marshall?
I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. is number one receiver. I don't know. I just don't feel like he's going to produce as much. I mean, I'm not high on any of the Giants receivers. So
Yeah, me either.
I don't see Brandon Marshall ending the year in the top 24. So that basically means that you don't really want him in your daily starting lineup.
Is Brandon Marshall somebody you take a flyer on? Late in the draft?
Because of age and the situation, I think I would take a flyer on a younger kid that has a chance of exploding more so than I would Brandon Marshall. Because you know what Brandon Marshall brings to the table. Is it really a flyer when you take a late round pick on Brandon Marshall?
Well, it's not
It's
even
more of a hope.
not even a late round pick. He's really going 5th round right now.
I was about to
Brandon
say,
Marshall?
Yeah.
Yes, 5th round. I'm not touching him that early.
I'm not going to draft him that early, but I would take him not long after that.
Agreed.
All right, let's move on to the tight end. I'll start with Jeremy on this. Any thoughts on the tight end position with the Giants?
Evan Ingram is a very interesting pickup there. He's got the ability to go deep that a lot of tight ends don't have, but I don't have him as a top 12 tight end.
Yeah, he's more like a receiver than a tight end. He's not I think he's like 6'4", 230, 235. He's built more like a receiver, but they line him up at tight end. He's not really a blocker. But going back, I'm not high on him because of the inconsistency of Eli Manning. I don't trust it. I'm not comfortable drafting anybody that Eli Manning might throw to. So.
Well, Will Tye will be brought in to pass block,
Yeah.
so he'll be a receiving only guy.
Might be a.
Ingram's being compared to Jordan Reed as far as his size and his abilities from when he came over out of college out of Mississippi. But again, I don't think there's going to be an immediate impact with this team. I do think they eventually want to start using him though. They drafted him high and they have expectations for him, but I just don't see it being an immediate impact this year.
Yeah, I really don't have much more to say about that. I don't really care much for that position on that team. I don't think it's somebody that I go after. All right, let's look at the next position that we're going to cover, and that being defense. Nick, got anything on the defense?
They have probably one of the most promising secondaries in the league. They have Janoris Jenkins and Eli Apple at corners, and then Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie can play that corner safety role. And with Landon Collins, might be the best safety in football right now. And their secondary is really good. They got Oliver Vernon and they re-signed Jason Pierre-Paul is good pass rushers. I just think their defense is. It's top 10 caliber defense. Even in fantasy, I think I might have him around 7, 8, somewhere around in there.
Well, last year they finished third in rushing yards allowed. So with a improved pass defense in the secondary, they added Dalvin Tomlinson in the middle there, which will help in some pass rushing, but a lot in run stopping. So their run stop defense got better. I think this defense may be the best fantasy option on this team for consistency.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, defense?
Not a whole lot. I think they're in the top 10, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't really have much to say about that either. All right, let's cover the last position that we cover with every team, that being the kicker. We obviously don't put a lot into that because they're so inconsistent. They can hit,
You
17
can't put a lot in
points,
this kicker.
and then they can get you 1 or 2 points. Any thoughts?
Kicker is Rosas, and there's nothing to know about him. I mean, he's a new kicker. He's the only kicker on the team right now, and it just depends on how the offense does. Is somebody that I don't think you draft. You kind of watch and see how that offense plays out, see how he kicks, and he might end up being an option.
He played at Southern Oregon, wherever that is. And he was 25 of 32 in field goals and 140 of 143 extra points in the 2 years he was at Southern Oregon.
The Giants, though, after trying him out and ended up signing him, they ended up dropping their other kicker, so they were comfortable enough with him. It's just a lot of unknown with him.
Well, Josh Brown was our kicker last year, and he got suspended by the league for a domestic violence. So I know I mean, so they had to have a new kicker, and they picked up somebody just off the free agency. I guess they like this guy a lot better.
Right.
I do know they worked out Garrett Hartley this summer. So they may bring in a veteran like Garrett Hartley or have him on standby just in case something happens.
Stay away from the Giants kicker until we know more.
Right.
All right, we're going to give you a final roundup of what we think of the Giants, and then we'll close out the show. Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
You could get a bargain at running back with Paul Perkins, but besides that, I'm very weary to draft any receiving option. Their defense could be something to value.
And Odell Beckham is being taken too high, we believe.
Yes.
Yes, stay away from Odell unless you just get him if it falls crazy to you. There may be like round 2, but other than that,
He won't last that long.
I know, but other than that, I wouldn't touch anybody for their team for the most part except their defense.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, hit us up on social media.
Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at FFCourt.
If you have any questions, anybody you want us to take a closer look at, or something you want us to break down, let us know via our social media, and we'll do an episode where we cover that for you.
Court is now adjourned.